In this short video, we're going to talk about how to set up teachers and students in classes in the STAR Early Literacy Assessment. So begin by clicking the I'm a Teacher Administrator button to log yourself in, and then go ahead and use the login information that I provided for you. And click Login. Alright, once you're here, it's going to ask you right away about resetting your password. And you do need to do that to get past this screen. You can put in any new password that you wish, but you can also put in the exact same password that I provided. It also asks you about putting in an email address for password recovery. I do recommend that. However, that's not necessary at this time. If you lose your password or username, you can always just contact me. But in the meantime, I do think it's a good idea. Okay, so you hit the save, and of course it will ask you again about email address if you haven't put it in yet. I recommend it, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go ahead and say no. Now that finally takes you back to the main screen, or to your main administration panel. One important piece that I'm going to look at here is that STAR Early Literacy button. If you click on that, you have a whole handful of options like reports and preferences. We'll come back to preferences a little bit later on, but we're going to skip it for now. So let's talk about setting up users and courses. Now, each course is a tutoring group. Each region is a course. Each tutoring group is called a class. So what you will be doing is adding classes. However, to do that, you must first add the tutor. So you'll see that I said add school personnel. And I'm going to just put in some dummy information here. But remember, before you can set up a class, which is a tutoring group, you must first set up the teacher, because you can't make a class without a teacher. So I'm going to just put in some dummy information here, and password and so forth. And then we'll see in a moment how that becomes useful when we set up the classes. Okay, primary position. Now this one's kind of important. So for this one, make sure you select not lead teacher, which is the default. Go ahead and select STAR Reading. Teacher STAR Reading. STAR Early Literacy. Because that's the product that we're using here. And so they are using the STAR Early Literacy. So Teacher STAR Early Literacy. Gender, don't worry about it. Not going to be important. So from here, you can go ahead and say Save As. Once you have everything in, save and add, or you can just say save. If you do save and add, it saves this teacher's information, and then it gets you ready to enter a new one. So all the information, STAR Early Literacy. Here I'll just say save, which will take us back to the main screen, or pretty close to it. Alright, that's what we just put in. Everything looks fine. Name, ID, position, STAR Early Literacy. Now if I want to go back and make changes, I can hit that edit personnel record information, and see it takes us right back to where we were. So if you have to make a change, that's the way to do it. Alright, we'll just save that again. And now we'll go back to personnel, students, and parents. And we can add new personnel. We can also add students from this screen as well. So if we want to add a student, that's where we do it right there. But we're not going to do that at this point. Now if you want to see all the people that are in this system, you can just click on that View Personnel link and just do a search. Now we only have one school, which is Three Rivers Education Foundation. So if you hit search, it's going to bring up everybody in the entire system. Across all the regions, including all the coordinators and myself and so forth. So there's the one that we just added. and we can hit that select button down there if we want to get the details of that one or edit it. Okay, back to personnel, students, and parents. So that's how we add school personnel and how we add students and so forth. But now we need to create a class. Remember, a tutoring group is an individual class within the course. So I've already set up the courses. Each region is considered to be a course, and within that you will add classes for each tutoring group. So since we're talking Jim Davis here, that's New Mexico 6, so I pull up that course, and you'll pull up the course that corresponds to your region. All right, we can add a class by clicking on the Add Class button here. And I'll show you another way we can do this in a moment. But in the meantime, we went to the region, we clicked the Add Class button, so we're going to put in a class name. Now you'll see as a required element, we must put in the teacher's name. That's why we do the teachers first. So first the teacher and then the class. So we click this, we pull down the list, we find the teacher or the tutor that you're interested in, and marking period, you can leave that one alone. But products, you must click Star Early Literacy Assessment or Star Early Literacy. If you don't click it, the kids can't take the assessment. So we must click that button right there. Now we could add students here if we already have students in the system. You see, we can search for them and we can pull up the list of existing students and we can add them from here, but it's not necessary to add students at this time. You might want to add the tutors and create the classes first, and then as you make assignments, then add the kids later. But it's not a required element. The only thing that's really required here is the name and the teacher and the early literacy assessment. All right, so we'll hit save. So we see now for this course, which is New Mexico 6, we now have a class, teacher, period, and product. Everything looks good. All right, let's see what else we can do here. So there's that New Mexico 6 again, and you'll see it has one class assigned, which means basically one tutoring group. If you have a tutor that's teaching multiple groups, then you'll need to add a class for each group. All right, let's click on that New Mexico 6 to bring up the details again, and you'll see, you can just double check and see what's in there, but you see it says students none. That, because there are no students in here, this is considered an incomplete class. So we might want to at this point click that add remove students and add students to it, but we'll do that here in a minute. All right, back to New Mexico 6. Let's see what else we can do. All right, that's just where we were. Now, see where it says add remove students? Let's go ahead and click that for now. Let's add some kids in there. And I have one test kid set up, Kid Kidowski. So I'm going to click his name and say add. So you can come back and do this later, add kids later if you wish, that's fine. So right now we see that we have one student enrolled, but we have to save it. So we will click save. Now if you look at the tabs across the top, this class is now considered complete because it has the teacher, it has the period, the assessment, and the kids. So it's a complete class. And we can add more kids here. We can delete the class if we wish, all sorts of things that we can do. All right, what else can we do? So let's go back to New Mexico 6. We can add a class from there, so back to the same place. We can even edit the class from here by clicking on the name, and we can make any changes. But the important thing here is we see that the student has been enrolled. And from the class details, we can even add or remove students. Okay, let's go back to home. Now I mentioned we would come back to preferences, so let's do that now. We click on the Star Early Literacy button, and you see where it says preferences? Let's click on that. Now, there are three things you can select here: testing password, demonstration video, and hands-on exercise. We're disabling all of that. Now I have already disabled the monitor password because I can do that for the entire region at once. So that part is already done. But in order to disable the demonstration video and the hands-on exercise, we have to go into the actual classes. That's a class by class. So you're going to have to do that each time you set up a tutoring group. So to do that, we go to class and we find the class that we're going to modify. So there's our class right there, New Mexico 6 Test Teachers class. And we will click Edit. Now you see that these are not grayed out anymore, which means we can change them. So we click the Edit button. And from here, we can first confirm that you're on the right class. Monitor is already turned off, and let's say never for demonstration and never for hands-on exercises. Because basically when the kids come into the system and log on, we want them to go right to the assessment and not have to do all these videos. And really, if we're talking about pre-K kids, the demonstration video is not really going to be very useful to them. So let's put both of those at never and save it. And now you'll see that the settings have been changed, and we can click Done. All right, let's walk through everything again, just all the steps. So the first step, of course, is to add the teacher. So step 1, add the teacher by going to Add School Personnel. Step 2 is to add a class. And to do that, you scroll to your region. Either click on the region or click on Add Class. So here we'll just click on the region, and then we'll say Add Class from this panel. That might be kind of useful to do it this way so you can see what classes you've already added. So step 1, add the teacher. Step 2, add a class. Step 3, we change the preferences. We choose the class, we edit it, and we set the video and the hands-on exercise to never. Now, once all that's done, I think that's when you want to go ahead and add the students to the class. So to add students, we go to Users, and we're going to select Add Student. You put in this information, and then we can, once we have saved it, we can go back to the class, and we can add students, adding the students that you've just created here. So teacher, then class, then preferences, and then add students. I think that's probably going to be the easiest task flow to make this as simple as possible. And that's it. So we log out and we are all done. If you have questions, feel free to call me and ask. We can do it together.